What if one "I'm sorry" could plant a whole garden? What if a single honest apology held the power to transform a barren patch of ground into a place of life and color? Imagine two neighbors separated by a broken fence, their yards as dry and lifeless as their relationship. This is a story about how the smallest seeds of forgiveness can grow into the most beautiful connections. Two neighbors, let's call them Arthur and Ben, once shared everything. They were more than just people who lived next door to each other. They were friends. They'd borrow sugar, share gardening tips, and watch over each other's homes during holidays. But a small, silly argument, something about a misplaced tool or a noisy party, had spiraled out of control. Harsh words were exchanged, and pride built a wall much higher and stronger than the wooden fence separating their properties. The easy greetings over the fence stopped. The shared laughter that used to drift between their windows vanished. A heavy, uncomfortable silence settled over their yards. A silence that felt colder and more isolating than any winter storm. Their friendship, once a source of comfort, now felt like a distant, painful memory. The physical fence between their homes mirrored the emotional one. What was once a sturdy, neatly painted barrier began to show signs of neglect. The paint peeled away, the wood warped and cracked under the sun and rain. Weeds, aggressive and determined, started to take over the strip of land along the fence line. Thistles and dandelions choked out the soft grass, creating a tangled, thorny no man's land. The flower beds that once bloomed with vibrant colors were now just patches of dry, cracked earth. It was as if the anger and resentment between the two men had poisoned the very soil, making it impossible for anything beautiful to grow. Each man would occasionally glance over, see the decay, and feel a sharp pang of sadness before turning away, locked in his own stubborn loneliness. One quiet Tuesday evening, after another solitary dinner eaten in front of the television, Arthur found himself staring out his kitchen window. The sight of the decaying fence and the overgrown weeds felt heavier than usual. He felt the weight of his loneliness, the echo of his own silence. He thought about the years of friendship that had been lost over a moment of anger. Was his pride really worth this emptiness? With a deep breath that felt like it took all his strength, he walked to his shed and found a small, forgotten packet of marigold seeds. He clutched it tightly in his hand and walked to the fence. His heart pounded against his ribs. He saw Ben in his yard, watering a single potted plant. Arthur cleared his throat, his voice barely a whisper. "Ben," he started, "I'm sorry. I miss our friendship. Can we start again?" Ben froze, the watering can still in his hand. He looked at Arthur, at the seed packet clutched in his friend's hand, and saw the vulnerability in his eyes. The silence stretched for a long, tense moment. Arthur's hope began to fade, fearing he had made a mistake. But then, Ben slowly nodded and walked over to the gate that had been latched shut for months. With a creak of rusted hinges, he opened it. He didn't say much, but his actions spoke volumes. Together, without another word, they knelt down. They began to work, their hands plunging into the soil, side by side. They pulled out the stubborn weeds, their roots deep and tangled, just like the old hurt between them. They turned the hard, compacted earth, breaking up the clumps, preparing it for a new beginning. They didn't plant anything fancy or expensive. Arthur opened the simple packet of marigolds. Ben found some old herb seeds in his own shed basil and mint. They pressed the tiny seeds into the freshly turned soil, their fingers occasionally brushing against each other's. It was a quiet, shared act of hope. In the days and weeks that followed, something amazing happened. Tiny green shoots pushed their way through the dark soil, reaching for the sunlight. The garden was a visible promise that change was possible, that life could return to a place that had been barren. As the garden grew, so did their conversations. It started with short, practical talks about watering schedules and sunlight. "Looks like they need a bit more water," Ben would say. "I think the mint is really taking off," Arthur would reply. Soon, these small talks blossomed into longer conversations. They shared cups of tea on the porch, their chairs angled towards the growing garden. They laughed at a funny-shaped carrot they pulled from the soil. The old broken fence was still there, but it no longer felt like a barrier. Instead, it became a trellis covered in climbing sweet peas and bright morning glories, a beautiful backdrop to their renewed friendship. The vibrant colors and fresh scents had replaced the cold, empty silence. Sometimes, healing doesn't arrive in a grand, dramatic moment. It doesn't wash over you all at once. Instead, it grows quietly, almost imperceptibly, from one honest apology and one kind reply. It starts as a tiny seed of courage, nurtured by patience and a shared desire to begin again. Just like this garden, friendship needs tending. It needs both sunshine and rain, and it needs people willing to get their hands dirty to clear out the weeds of misunderstanding. From a simple "I'm sorry," a whole world of connection can bloom. If you enjoyed this story, please consider subscribing for more tales that explore the little moments that make life beautiful. Thanks for watching.